Hello everybody, my name is Vahida, and my topic is going to be about screen time. So with tremendous growth in the mobile technology, children have access to and are able to use cell phones, iPods, tablets, those little things that you put on the cars when you're going on a trip everywhere, like at the store, on vacation, in their beds, at restaurants. As someone who works in the restaurant industry, there's nothing more annoying than children screaming and running around the place. It's just annoying. So 9 times out of 10, the parent's initial reaction would be to hand them a tablet or an iPod or their cell phone. It does quiet the child down, and they're quiet. The rest of the meal is, fine. However, it's not a proper discipline tool, and it's just a temporary fix. The child is missing out on the important discipline and the much-needed social behavior education. The child is now conditioned to get the electronic as a reward with entertainment whenever they act up. So screen time is a term used for activities done in front of a screen, such as a cell phone, iPod, tablets, TV, computer games, etc. The UCLA Psychology Department indicated that today, media exposure begins at early ages, consumes the majority of youth leisure time, and takes place in many different environments and contexts. My proposition today is that kids under the age of 5 or toddlers are getting too much screen time. My supporting points will be that too much screen time hinders toddlers' cognitive development and creates health problems. First, let me define what cognitive development is. It's the construction of thought processes, including remembering, problem solving, and decision making from childhood through adolescence to adulthood. The UCLA study shows that children were unable to recognize social cues such as facial expressions, eye contact, and posture. Not being able to recognize or understand these cues play a big role in their personal lives and as well as their social life and academic life. Whereas their counterparts in the study were much quicker to pick up these cues. At age 3 and 4, children should be able to process eye contact and facial expressions that are dramatized. You notice these when we are playing with children and we use our tone, the voices to talk to them. So children exposed to screen media have a harder time. Just by these difficulties alone, children grow up to have a difficult time socializing and are disengaged from people and other children, a chain reaction to not having strong relationships with family, peers, and anyone else they interact with further in life. My next claim is that excessive screen time creates health problems for young children. Being behind a screen creates a sedentary lifestyle. The U.S. National Library of Medicine states that too much screen time can make it harder for children to sleep at night, raise your child's risk of attention problems, anxiety, and depression, also raise your child's risk of obesity. So when a child is watching television, they'll see commercials. Commercials typically show junk food or other sorts of unhealthy snacks. Child will consume those snacks while they're watching TV, and they'll eat some more, and then they're sitting down, they'll start gaining weight. It'll lead to obesity, and then those things can link to anxiety problems, depression further on. Another health issue that too much screen time can develop is that attention problems. Some studies found that children who spend more time in front of the screen are more likely to develop attention problems later, the New York Times states. Dr. Dimitri Christakis, a pediatrician at the University of Washington School of Medicine who studies children and media, said, "The stimulation that video games provide is really about pacing, how fast the screen changes per minute." Now, this isn't just limited to video games. There are other shows where you have violence and such fast-paced things, but that's a whole different topic. So if a child's brain gets habituated to that pace and to the extreme alertness needed to keep responding and winning, he said the child ultimately may find the realities of the world underwhelming and understimulating, such as a classroom. They won't be able to pay attention because it's not as stimulating as a TV show or the game or the video game. Although most of these studies I have found have been done on children over the age of 5, you can also go back to saying that the habits done at a younger age, especially the crucial age under 5, are going to carry on through their childhood, their adulthood, and adolescent, teenage years, and whatnot. To combat this research, researchers have suggested that children under 2 should have no screen time, and children over 2 should have at least 1 or 2 hours. When parents feel stressed out and exhausted, they're more likely to hand over the iPod or telephone, a simple solution that has lots of repercussions, like I have stated. To justify this, parents think they are helping the child keeping up with the times of fast-paced technology, or that children also need to be entertained. Although I agree to some extent, children need to have their time limited so it does not hinder their cognitive skills and also maintain healthy habits. Thank you.
All right. I know that you're probably a little anxious, but I thought you presented very well. You sounded at the end a lot more nervous than you seemed during the speech, so you should relax a little bit. You're doing fine. The proposition's very clearly identified. You set up 2 secondary points pretty clearly. I do think that you want to have those phrased a little bit more distinctly as claims, because it basically comes down to cognitive and health issues, and I know that you're making kind of a cause-effect claim on these particular points, but you should make that claim. We shouldn't be having to add the inference ourselves. Signposting's okay. There's good information on each of the points, although sometimes there's a lot more explanation than there is proof on these things. Like you've got a piece of research that you're using at the beginning, and it talks about the nonverbal cues and that they can't do all these kinds of things. I'm like, okay, this all sounds interesting. Apparently this is the conclusion of some researcher, but we don't have any statistical information from the study that's presented, that they are faster, slower, at doing that. There was a little bit in comparison to 2 groups that were exposed to different information, but even that statistical information wasn't highlighted very well. I think I understood what you were talking about. Kids don't react to certain nonverbal cues if they spend most of their lives living on the screen, kind of thing. So what's the consequence of that sort of thing? Why is that a bad thing? Everything is kind of speculative at this point. We don't have any information that shows, for instance, that children have fewer friends, that they don't respond as well in class, that they run into discipline issues because they're not responsive to those nonverbals. We don't have anything like that, so it's kind of speculative at this point. And it would be nice if there was some other data that could support that point. On the health issue, I think you're on a little bit more solid ground, because there's been long-term research that talks about all kinds of technology exposures. Look, television's been around for 60, 70 years, 80 years, that kind of thing. And so there's a lot of information on that. If you could identify it more specifically to some of the new technologies like you're talking about, then I think it would matter a little bit more. The examples that you provide, I think, are all things that people can relate to, but I'm not exactly sure that I'm all that worried that the 1-year-old at the table at the restaurant is playing with the cell phone and that's going to destroy their cognitive ability. I'm thinking, how is that going to happen, that they won't be able to form critical thinking skills because they were looking at the pictures on the cell phone when they were eating? I think there's an argument to be made there that that's going to be the case, but how you measure that, I'm not sure. And right now, that it's substantially different from what's been going on in the past, I think that's one of the things that you need a little bit more information on, that says it's not just TV anymore, it's double that now. And that shouldn't be hard to come by. All right, thank you.